My name is Emily Carter, and I never thought I'd end up back in the dusty heart of Wyoming, staring at my father's pine casket under the harsh fluorescent lights of the Cheyenne Memorial Chapel. The air smelled like wilted roses and old coffee, the kind that lingers in small-town funeral homes where everyone knows your business. I'd flown in from Seattle the night before, my carry-on still zipped with tags from the red-eye flight. At 28, losing your last parent hits like a freight train, but I figured the grief would be the worst of it.
Boy,
Was I wrong? The chapel was packed with ranchers in starched shirts and BOLO ties. Neighbors who'd known Dad, John Carter, since he inherited the family spread out near Laramie. He was only 55 when his heart gave out. Too young for a man who'd spent his life wrestling cattle and fixing fences under the big sky. I stood alone in the front pew, my black jeans and boots feeling out of place among the more formal mourners. Across from me sat Susan, my stepmother, dabbing at her eyes with a lace hanky, and her son Ryan from her first marriage, scrolling through his phone like he was waiting for a bus. Susan's whispers carried over the soft organ music. Such a tragedy. John gone so soon, but her tone had that edge, like she was reciting lines from a bad soap opera. Ryan, 3 years older than me, barely looked up. The family section felt like enemy territory, and I was the outsider who'd been pushed out years ago. Then came the lawyer, Mr. Harlan Brooks, a grizzled old-timer with a mustache like a walrus and a briefcase full of secrets. He'd handled Dad's affairs for over a decade, ever since the ranch started turning a profit from oil leases. Before we wrap up, he said, clearing his throat at the podium, John wanted me to address some estate matters right here, in front of y'all. Susan perked up, her grief vanishing faster than morning fog in the Wyoming sun. Ryan pocketed his phone. Brooks adjusted his bifocals and read on. The primary assets, the Carter Ranch, the investment accounts from the mineral rights, and the family trucking business go to his wife, Susan Carter, and her son, Ryan Hayes. I swallowed hard but kept my cool. I hadn't expected much. Dad had made his choices clear when he married Susan and let our relationship fade like an old fence post. But then Brooks looked right at me, his voice dropping. There's one more item for Emily Carter. The room went quiet as a ghost town. My heart pounded like hooves on hardpan. John kept detailed records of the costs to raise Emily from birth to 18. Food, shelter, shulin, medical, adds up to $80,000. Per his wishes. This is a debt she owes the estate, payable over 5 years with standard interest. The words hit me like a bucking bronco. What in the world? I blurted, my voice echoing off the wood-paneled walls. Parents don't bill their kids for growing up. That's not how it works. Brooks looked uneasy, like he'd swallowed a bad oyster. The records are thorough, Miss Carter. Every expense logged. Susan's mouth twitched into a smirk she tried to hide. John was always big on accountability, she said. All sugar and venom. Even in family. This must be a shock. Honey. But he wanted to teach responsibility. Responsibility. I snapped. I busted my butt with 3 jobs to get through college 'cause he said funds were tight. Now you're saying he kept tabs on my diapers and doctor visits. Ryan chuckled. Maybe if you hadn't bailed to live with your mom. I was 8. I shot back. Divorce ain't a kid's choice. The mourners shifted uncomfortably. But I didn't care. Brooks suggested a private chat, but Susan waved it off. Transparency was John's way. You'll get the formal notice. Emily. Contestant, it would cost a pretty penny, and his books are spotless. Staring at Dad's casket, I felt the betrayal sink in like quicksand. But as Brooks packed up, A page slipped to the floor by my boots. I picked it up and froze. The expenses were in Dad's handwriting, but the account numbers traced to an education trust Susan managed. The dates matched Ryan's tuition at the University of Wyoming's music program. I handed it back to Brooks, our eyes locking. His nod said he knew. As folks filed out, whispering about the drama, Susan leaned in. 5 years. Emily, don't drag this out. Ryan trailed her like a shadow. I watched them go, my sadness turning to steel. They thought I'd fold like a cheap tent. They had no clue. That night in my motel room off I-80, sleep wouldn't come. Instead, I dove into memories, piecing together how my life got roped into this mess. The divorce hit when I was 8, Mom got custody. Dad, weekends on the ranch. It was good at first. Ridin' horses, fixin' fences, him callin' me his little wrangler who'd take over someday. Then Susan showed up. A city gal from Denver with perfect highlights and designer boots that never saw mud. Dad met her at a livestock auction. And 6 months later, she and Ryan moved in. My room became Ryan's drum setup. Emily can bunk in the guest quarters, Susan said sweetly. She's only here every other weekend. Ryan needs space for his music. Dad didn't push back. Visits got awkward, Susan nitpicking my outfits, my grades, Mom's job as a schoolteacher. Ryan blasted tunes when I studied, lost my homework, teased my hand-me-downs. By 14, I quit going. Dad's calls faded to cards with smaller checks each year. College time. Accepted to Wyoming State, Dad's old stomping ground. I called excited. He sounded happy. Proud of you, Eminencia. We'll celebrate with steaks at the Buckhorn. But it turned into an office meeting at the ranch house. Susan there. Education's earned, not given, Dad said. Avoidin' my eyes. Builds character. Susan chimed in. Ryan got scholarships through talent. Maybe if you'd honed yours. Truth was, Ryan's partial ride covered squat. The rest came from somewhere. I left heartbroken but fired up. Loans, waitressin', ranch hand gigs, graduated magna cum laude in business. Ironic as hell. Last talk with Dad 2 years back. Share my promotion at a Seattle firm. Susan answered. Said he was tied up with Ryan's grad party. From UW. Top in music tech. John's burstin' with pride. Says Ryan's just like him. Ambitious as a Mustang. It gutted me. Never called again. Now. Starin' at my laptop. Student loans at $67,000. Savings capital $1. But that slipped page nagged. Dug up an old email. Dad set up an $80,000 education trust for me. Susan as trustee. Never saw a dime. Puzzle snapped. She siphoned it to Ryan. Now billin' me for it. Fraud. Plain as day. Rage turned to resolve. They'd robbed my past. No way they'd hog-tie my future. Tomorrow, confront Brooks. Tonight, plan. Brooks' office was in a brick building downtown Cheyenne, smellin' of leather and law books. I showed it opening. Beaten Susan. His secretary ushered me in. Figured you'd drop by, he said. Pourin' coffee. Something don't sit right. Show me everything, I demanded. He spread files. Expenses bogus. But trust docs damning. Transfers to UW for Ryan. My forged signature on withdrawals. That's not mine. The loop on the E's off. Emails from a fake Carter_edu address. Thankin' Dad for fundin' my music studies. I was at State doing business, not music. Brooks nodded. John wasn't tech-wise. Believe it ain't. Susan's doing. Likely. IP traces to the ranch. Witness signatures, Ryan's. Conspiracy. 5 years runnin'. Why help me? I asked. Your dad was soft-hearted. Avoided fights. This debt paper? Signed weeks before death. On heavy meds. Undue influence. Fraud's criminal. DA could charge embezzlement over $50K. Federal level. Copies in hand. I felt armed. Susan texted. Meet tomorrow. 2 p.m. Ranch. Payment terms. I replied. See you then. The Carter Ranch sprawled under the endless Wyoming sky. Sagebrush and cattle dots on the horizon. Pulling up in my rental truck. It felt like stepping into a showdown. Susan opened the door. All smiles and perfume that clashed with the ranch dust. Right on time. Emily. Come in. Ryan's here too. Family matters. You know. The living room had changed. Dad's worn recliners gone. Replaced by sleek leather couches that screamed city money. Ryan sprawled. Boots on the table. Hey. Stepsis. Bummer about the bill. But life's a rodeo. Gotta pay to play. I stayed standin'. Let's talk payin'. Like your UW tuition. Courtesy of my trust fund. Susan's eyes narrowed. Ryan earned his spot with talent. Scholarships opened doors. Talent and $80,000 siphoned from funds meant for me, I countered. Slap in down copies. Forged signatures. Fake emails, felony fraud. Ryan paled. Susan laughed. Brittle as dry grass. Desperate accusations from a bitter girl. John's records are ironclad. Contest it, and you'll drown in legal fees. I held ground. Brooks disagrees. He's testifying IP traces. Handwriting experts. DA's office is next. Ryan shifted. Mom. Maybe we should. Hush, Susan snapped. Emily. Walk away. Or I'll make sure every rancher from here to Casper knows you're suing a grieving widow over pocket change. Her threat hung like storm clouds. But I saw cracks, Ryan's unease. Her forced poise. Leavin'. I called a friend from college. Now a Cheyenne DA assistant. Lily. Need advice on embezzlement. She listened, whistling low. That's textbook fraud. Get affidavits. Bank records. If trust was interstate, funds from oil leases could go federal. But careful, stepmoms like that fight dirty. Next days blurred. Gathered evidence. Consulted a pro bono lawyer from a women's aid group. Susan lawyered up. Serving papers claiming the debt legit. Trust reallocated by family agreement. But metadata doomed her. Emails from ranch Wi-Fi. Forgeries obvious. Tension built like a prairie storm. Anonymous calls warn me off. Drop it or regret. Tires slashed on my rental. Small-town whispers turned ugly. Some sided with Susan, the devoted wife, versus the absent daughter. But others remembered Dad's fondness for me. Sharing stories of our old ranch days. Ryan cornered me at a diner one morning. Emily. This'll destroy Mom. His eyes were haunted. Hands shaken. She said it was just reallocating. You didn't need it. Working your way. She stole it, I said flatly. You witnessed. That's accessory. He hung his head. I was 18. Dumb. Thought it was investments. But I saw her practice your signature. Set up that email. Why tell me now? He sighed. Guilt's eaten me. John's meds. She upped and near the end. Said Doc okayed it. But I checked nope. He was foggy. Signin' anything. Manslaughter? My stomach dropped. Testify. Ryan. Make it right. He nodded. Tearful. For John. He treated me like a son. even when I didn't deserve it. Civil suit filed. Fraud. Embezzlement. Seek in restitution. Susan countersued for defamation. Pain to me as greedy. Pretrial discovery unearthed more. Dad's journal entries. Susan's Hanlon funds odd. Emily's trust empty? Must check. He'd suspected, but was too weak to fight. Court day in Cheyenne's federal building. Trust involved interstate commerce via oil royalties. Judge Ramirez, a no-nonsense Latina with sharp eyes, presided. My lawyer, S. Torres from the aid group, laid it out. Forged docs, diverted funds, undue influence on a dying man. Susan's attorney, a slick Denver type named Ellis, spun it. MS. Carter abandoned her father. Now fabricates claims for a payout. But evidence mounted. Expert testimony on forgeries. Digital forensics trace in emails. Susan on stand. Poised. Tearful. I managed the trust as John wished. Emily was difficult. Rejected help. We redirected to Ryan, who embraced the family. Torres pressed. By Virgin signatures? Creatine fake accounts. Objections flew. But judge allowed. Susan cracked. Admit in administrative shortcuts. Then Ryan's bombshell. Called by us. He testified against Susan. I witnessed forgeries. Saw Mom up meds. John begged her to stop. Confused. Courtroom gasped. Susan shrieked. Traitor. Bailiff intervened. Ryan continued. She said Emily was the enemy. But John loved her. Talked about his little wrangler even drugged. Ellis tried discrediting. Drug issues?
Motive.
But Ryan held. Clean now. Doing right. Medical examiner. Overdose levels consistent with negligence or intent. Caused confusion. Then arrest. Not murder, but manslaughter via abuse. Susan's defense crumbled. She pleaded to lesser charges. Fraud. Elder abuse. Sentence pending. I left court shaken. Victory bittersweet. Back at the motel, I pondered the humane side. Revenge felt hollow, lesson emergent. Communication mends families before breaks widen. Dad's weakness stemmed from avoiding tough talks. Maybe forgiveness heals more than punishment. Post-trial, the ranch felt like a battlefield aftermath. Susan holed up, avoiding town, while Ryan crashed at a buddy's. I stayed. Sorting Dad's things, old photos of us riding. His hat still smelling of sweat and earth. Grief mixed with anger. But Ryan's testimony softened it. He'd chosen truth over blood. Sentence in hearing. Federal court again. Susan in orange. Makeup gone. Lookin' defeated. Torres argued for full restitution. Prison time. Ellis pleaded mitigation. First offense. Widow's stress. Judge Ramirez eyed Susan. You embezzled $80,000 from a trust. Forged docs. Abused a dying man. Greed tore a family. Sentence. 5 years federal prison, parole after 3. Full repayment via asset sale. Ranch liquidated. Proceeds to me as beneficiary. Susan collapsed sobbing. Ryan watched stone-faced. Outside. He approached. Emily.
I'm sorry.
For everything. Tears streaked his face. I was selfish. Let her poison me against you. I nodded. Throat tight. You did right in court. That's a start. He offered a folder. Found these in her safe, photos. Letters from John. Inside, me as a kid. Science fairs. Acceptance letter to state.
Aún sem note.
Proud of your grit. Failed you by not fightin'. Love always. It broke me. Dad had loved. Just couldn't show it. Thanks. Ryan. He hesitated. Go into rehab. Then trade school mechanics. Maybe. Pay you back somehow.
Just get straight, I said.
That's enough. We hugged, awkward-like. First time ever. Lesson sinkin'. Family's messy. But redemption's possible with honesty. With ranch sale, I got $130,000, $80K trust plus damages. Paid off loans. Breathe in free. But money couldn't fix the void. Started therapy in Seattle. Unpacking years of hurt. Therapist said, your strength came from struggle, but forgiveness lightens the load. Back home, I volunteered at a youth center, helping kids from broken homes. Set up the John Carter Second Chance Fund with $50,000 scholarships for working students. First recipient, a girl like me, juggling jobs and classes. Her thank you note, this means I can dream again. Susan wrote from prison months later. Emily, regret everything. Greed blinded me. Forgive. I pondered, replying, work on yourself. Maybe someday. Humane endin', not vengeance, but growth. Ryan checked in regular, sober and workin'. We talked dad. Sharing memories. Bond for men. Slow but real. Lesson. Open hearts prevent secrets from festerin'. 1 year on. Standin' at Dad's grave under Wyoming stars. I whispered, we made it right.
Sorta.
Love you. Peace settled. Like rain on parched land. After sentencin', I drove the ranch one last time. Fences Dad mended. Barn where we hid from storms. Memories flooded. Logan over campfires. Him teachin' ropin'. Susan's arrival changed it. Tensions risin'. Me feelin' pushed out. Liquidation hurt, but necessary. Auction day. Trucks haulin' cattle. Bidders on equipment. I kept Dad's truck. A beat-up Ford with his toolbox. Ryan helped pack. Quiet but steady. Remember that calf you bottle-fed? He asked. John bragged about your gentle hand. We shared stories. The win, ice. He admitted. Mom pitted us. Said you resented me. I sighed. Jealous. Maybe. But not hate. That night. Over pizza, in the empty house. We talked real. His music dreams derailed by entitlement. My grind buildin' resilience. Fun launch. Partnered with local college. Board included Brooks, who retired but advised. First grants. 5 kids. Stories echo in mine. 1 boy. Orphaned young. Workin' ranches for tuition. This fund's a lifeline, he said. Therapy helped process Dad's passivity from his own tough upbringing. Abusive father. Vowin' peace at any cost.
Susan exploited that.
Lesson. Silence enables harm. Speak up early. Susan's letter arrived. Detailed remorse. Prison therapy uncoverin' her greed from poverty roots. I visited. Glass between us. Hurt you to feel secure, she admitted. Stupid. Tears fell. Not expectin' forgiveness. But sorry. I forgive, I said. For me, not you. Holdin' grudge weighs heavy. She nodded. Relieved. Humane twist. Redemption for all. Ryan graduated trade school. Started a garage. Sent checks, small repayments. Buildin' honest, he said. We met for holidays. Family reborn. At grave. Peace true. Lesson light. Families break. But with truth and grace, they mend stronger. Life post-drama settled into a rhythm back in Seattle. But Wyoming pulled me often. The fund grew, donations from ranchers who'd known Dad. And his legacy positive. I spoke at events. Sharon, the story minus bitterness. Adversity forges strength, but compassion tempers it. Ryan visited. Tool belt in tow. Fixed up an old Mustang, wanna drive? We cruised. Logan like siblings should've. He dated steady. A teacher who grounded him. Therapy's key, he said. Learned mom's control warped me. Break-in free. Susan paroled after 3 years. Ankle monitor. Community service. She moved to a small apartment in Casper. Workin' as a bookkeeper, ironic. We met neutral, coffee shop. Changed, she claimed. Prison stripped illusions. I listened. Guard up but open. Prove it. She volunteered at the fund.
Refiewin, eps anonymously.
Small steps toward amends. Humane? Yeah, second chances for villains too. If earned.
I met Alex.
A park ranger from Yellowstone trips. Kind. Outdoorsy. No drama. Your story's inspirin', he said. Shows grit with heart. We hiked. Talked futures. Proposal came under stars. Build a life. Emily. Wedding small. Ranch friends attendin'. Ryan best man. Susan in back row. Vows included dad's memory. Honeymoon. Road trip west. Visit in grave site. Happy now, I whispered. Fund hit 100 recipients. One girl wrote, Your forgiveness story taught me, hold family accountable, but leave room for heal. Lesson crystallized, revenge destroys, justice with mercy rebuilds. Susan's greed taught that. Years on. Kids of my own. I tell grandpa's tale softly. Talk open. Forgive quick. That's the real inheritance. Daily life evolved. Seattle job promoted. But I consulted ranches remotely. Honin business skills from struggle. Fund expanded nationally. Focus in Western states scholarships. Mentorin'. Ryan thrived. Business boomin'. Payin' forward, he said. Donatin' tools to vocational programs. Susan.
Post-parole.
Rebuilt quiet therapy. Amends. She sent letters to recipients. Learn from my mistakes. Greed poisons. Alex and I bought land near Laramie. Weekend retreat. Family gatherings. Ryan grillin'. Susan sharin' recipes. Awkward at first, but genuine. Kids called her Nana Sue, unknown past till older. Reflection. Dad's death unveiled rot, but expos in it allowed growth. Humane end, not prison bars, but changed hearts. Lesson. Empathy turns enemies to allies. At 35, I authored a book, Debts of the Heart, memoir on family fraud, forgiveness.
Proceeds to fund.
Reviews praised, raw West drama with hopeful twist, grave visits annual, flowers and updates. We learned, Dad, thanks to you.
Peace profound.
Like vast prairie calm. Decades later, the story's a family legend, told round campfires. My kids, now grown, run the fund, expanded to millions helped. Ryan's grandkids play music honest.
No sorcuts.
Susan passed peaceful at 82. Reconciled. Her will, donation to fund. Note. Emily, you taught mercy. Grateful. I sit on porch. Alex beside. Watchin' sunset paint the Rockies. Life circle, from betrayal to bondin'. Light lesson indoors. In the West's wide open. Hearts need space to heal. Communicate. Forgive. That's the true frontier spirit.
No regrets.
The $80,000 debt became a debt of gratitude to trials that shaped us better. As time rolled, the humane ripple spread. Fund partnered with universities. Offerin' not just money but counselin', preventin' family fractures. Ryan retired rich, but humble, mentorin' at-risk youth. Your influence, he told me, showed Chusen right over easy. Susan's later years wrote anonymous articles on elder abuse prevention, in shame to service. Our relationship? Cordial, then warm. Holidays shared. Laughs over old photos. My book hit bestsellers. Adapted to film. West Set drama and Fazazan redemption. Proceeds built dorms for scholars. Grandkids ask, Gran, how'd you forgive? I smile. Holden hates like gripe and hot coal. Burns you. Let go. Heal. Alex and I traveled. Volunteering in rural West, helping families talk through issues early. At Dad's grave. Final visit. Your weakness sparked our strength. Lesson learned. Families thrive on truth, tempered by kindness. Story closes not in revenge, but renewal. The American West spirit, resilient, forgiving, ever forward.